Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I'm Assoc, Prof. Yasser M. Madany. I'm pleased to have you here. Today, we'll be exploring the exciting topics of file management and information technology. We'll cover the fundamentals, some key concepts, and practical insights to help you better understand how to manage and utilize information effectively. So let's get started and dive into this fascinating subject together. Let's take a moment to look at the outline for today's presentation. This slide is essentially a roadmap of what we'll be covering. I'll walk you through the key points so you know what to expect and how everything connects. We'll start by exploring the main concepts, then move into specific examples and applications. As we go, I'll highlight the most important ideas that tie everything together. This outline isn't just a list. It's a guide to understanding the overall theme and how each part contributes to our bigger picture. By the end, you'll see how all these pieces fit together to give us a comprehensive understanding of the topic. Let's continue with the outline, focusing on the next set of key points. As we move forward, I'll explain these concepts thoroughly but in a conversational way, making sure they connect to the overall theme of our presentation. The goal here is to highlight the most important ideas and see how they fit into the bigger picture. Remember, this is about building a clear understanding of the topic, so I'll keep it engaging and straightforward. Now, let's dive into the next part of our outline. Welcome to this overview slide. Here, I want to give you a clear understanding of what we'll be covering today. We'll go through the key points that form the foundation of our discussion. This will help you see how each piece fits into the bigger picture and connects to the overall theme of the presentation. Think of this as a roadmap, guiding us through the main ideas so that everything makes sense in context. By the end of this overview, you'll have a solid grasp of the core concepts we'll explore in more detail. So, let's dive in and set the stage for what's to come. Why manage files? Well, managing files is essential because it helps us stay organized and efficient. When we keep our files in order, it's much easier to find what we need quickly, which saves us time and reduces frustration. Proper file management also helps prevent data loss or accidental deletions, ensuring our important information is safe. Plus, it makes collaborating with others smoother, since everyone can access the right files without confusion. Throughout this presentation, we're focusing on how effective file management supports productivity and security. So, understanding why it's important sets the foundation for learning how to do it effectively. Using file managing utilities is a fundamental part of working efficiently with any computer system. These tools help us organize, access, and manipulate our files and folders with ease. Whether it's copying, moving, deleting, or renaming files, utilities provide a user-friendly way to keep things tidy and accessible. One key point is that these utilities often come with additional features, like searching for files quickly, previewing content without opening them fully, or even compressing files to save space. These features are especially useful when managing large amounts of data. It's also important to highlight that mastering these utilities can significantly improve productivity. Instead of navigating complex directory structures manually, you can perform tasks swiftly and accurately. And of course, understanding how to use them properly helps prevent accidental data loss or disorganization. Connecting this to our overall theme, effective file management is crucial for maintaining a smooth workflow and ensuring data security. When we harness these utilities well, we're not just organizing our files, we're setting ourselves up for success in managing information efficiently and securely. Let's talk about opening the file managers. When you start working with your computer, one of the first steps is to access the file manager. This is the tool that helps you browse, organize, and manage all your files and folders. It's like having a digital filing cabinet at your fingertips. Understanding how to open and navigate your file manager is fundamental because it sets the stage for everything else you'll do, whether it's saving documents, retrieving data, or organizing your workspace. Most operating systems have their own way of opening the file manager, like clicking on an icon or using a shortcut. Once open, you'll see a visual interface that displays your drives, folders, and files. Getting comfortable with this process helps streamline your workflow and ensures you're always in control of your digital environment. Remember, mastering the file manager is a key step toward becoming more efficient and organized in your daily tasks. Let's take a closer look at the file manager components. First, the file manager is a crucial part of any operating system because it handles how we organize, access, and manage our files and directories. It consists of several key components that work together seamlessly. The first is the user interface, which allows us to interact with files easily, whether through a graphical interface or command line. Next, we have the file system itself, which is responsible for storing and retrieving data on storage devices. This includes how files are named, organized, and linked. Then there are the system calls, which are the commands that programs use to request file operations from the operating system. These are essential for maintaining security and stability. Lastly, the file management policies govern how files are stored, accessed, and maintained over time, including permissions and quotas. Understanding these components helps us see how the system manages data efficiently and securely, tying into the broader theme of system organization and resource management. Now let's talk about the special characters you should avoid in file names. These characters can cause a lot of headaches, especially when sharing files across different systems or platforms. So what are these characters? They include things like the /, backslash, colon, asterisk, question mark, quotation marks, angle brackets, and the vertical bar. It's important to understand that these characters often have specific functions within operating systems or software, so including them in file names can lead to errors or files not opening correctly. For example, a question mark is used for wildcards in searches, and a colon can be used to separate drive letters or timestamps. By avoiding these characters, you help ensure your files are compatible across various environments and reduce the risk of corruption or access issues. Remember, keeping file names simple and clean not only helps with organization, but also ensures smooth sharing and access later on. This point ties back to our overall goal of effective file management and maintaining a professional workflow. For user convenience, file managers typically hide file extensions. However, it can be really useful to see those extensions if you want to have more control over your files. Sometimes, those extensions are hidden by default, so if you're not seeing them in File Explorer, there's a simple way to change that. What you need to do is open File Explorer first. Then, go to the View tab at the top. Under View, look for the checkbox labeled File Name Extensions. Make sure to select that checkbox, as shown in the figure. Once you do that, you'll be able to see the file extensions clearly. This simple step gives you more visibility and control over your files, which is a good practice especially when managing many different types of files. So just remember, if you want to see those extensions, open File Explorer, go to View, and check File Name Extensions. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Now let's talk about locating files. This is a crucial skill because no matter how well you organize your data, you still need to find those files when you need them. The key points here are understanding where files are stored and how to efficiently search for them. First, knowing the default locations for different types of files can save you a lot of time. For example, documents, images, and downloads often have designated folders. Second, using search functions within your operating system can be incredibly powerful. Learning how to use search filters, like date modified or file type, can narrow down your options quickly. Lastly, understanding the importance of consistent naming conventions can make locating files much easier. When files are named clearly and systematically, finding them becomes a much simpler task. Connecting this to the overall theme, mastering file location techniques helps improve your productivity and reduces frustration, especially when managing large amounts of data. It's a fundamental part of being organized and efficient in your digital workspace. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. If you can't find a file just by navigating through your folders, don't worry. File managers have a built-in search function that makes this much easier. The search feature is quite powerful. It scans through all the accessible storage media, whether it's your internal drive or external devices like USBs or external hard drives. This means you don't have to manually go through every folder hopping to find what you're looking for. To use it, simply enter the name of the file you're searching for into the search box. Once you've typed it in, press Enter on your keyboard, and the search process will begin. This is a quick way to locate files, especially if you're unsure of their exact location. Integrating this search capability into your workflow can save you a lot of time and frustration. It's a perfect example of how modern file managers are designed to be intuitive and efficient, helping you stay organized and productive. Remember, knowing how to effectively use search functions aligns with the overall goal of managing your digital environment more effectively. Narrow searches are faster because they filter out more options right from the start. So, if you happen to remember most of the file name or the file extension, it's usually better to specify those details as precisely as possible. This helps the search function work more efficiently and quickly. A useful tip is to click on Date Modified to set a date range for when you last modified the file. This is especially handy if you know roughly when you worked on the document or file you're looking for. Also, File Explorer has a search ribbon, which is highlighted in the figure here. This ribbon offers many options to help you narrow down your search criteria even further. You can filter by file size, kind, date, and more, making your search more targeted. Overall, the key takeaway is that a more specific search saves you time. By using these tools, like entering detailed file names, extensions, and date ranges, you can find what you need faster and more efficiently, which ties into the broader theme of working smarter with your files. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. If you already know the type of file you're searching for, this feature can really save you time. Instead of sifting through all kinds of files, you can narrow down your search by specifying the file type. To do that, just click on Kind, and then select the specific type of file you're after. For example, if you're looking for images, documents, or videos, this helps you find exactly what you need more quickly. As you can see in the figure, this step makes your search more efficient and focused. This is a great way to streamline your workflow and stay organized, especially when dealing with large numbers of files. Remember, knowing how to filter by type is a key part of managing your digital workspace effectively and saving valuable time. Let's take a closer look at system-generated folders. These folders are created automatically by the system to help organize and manage various files and data. They play a crucial role in maintaining order and ensuring that information is stored in the right places without requiring manual input. The key point here is that these folders simplify the user experience by reducing the need for manual organization, which can often be time-consuming and prone to errors. They also help in maintaining system efficiency, as files are stored systematically, making retrieval and management much easier. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding how these system-generated folders work is essential for optimizing our workflows and ensuring data integrity. By leveraging these automatic organizational tools, we can focus more on our core tasks rather than worrying about file management. So, recognizing the purpose and function of these folders allows us to better navigate and utilize the system effectively, ultimately enhancing our productivity and system reliability. Let's take a moment to talk about system-generated folders. These are folders that are created automatically by the system to help organize and manage files more efficiently. They play a crucial role in keeping our digital workspace tidy and ensuring that files are stored in the right places without us having to do it manually. The key point here is that these folders are designed to be managed by the system itself, which reduces the chance of human error and saves us time. They often include things like temporary files, backup folders, or system logs that are essential for the smooth operation of our applications and processes. It's important to understand that while these folders are automatically created, they are also typically hidden from users to prevent accidental modification or deletion. This helps maintain the integrity of the system and ensures that everything functions as intended. In the context of overall system management, recognizing and understanding these folders helps us better troubleshoot issues and optimize system performance. So, in essence, system-generated folders are the behind-the-scenes organizers that keep our digital environment running smoothly, allowing us to focus on our core tasks without worrying about the clutter. Let's talk about renaming files and folders. This might seem simple, but it's a crucial skill for keeping your digital workspace organized. When you rename a file or folder, you're essentially giving it a more meaningful or descriptive name, which makes it easier to find later. It's important to choose names that clearly reflect the content or purpose of the item. This process helps prevent confusion, especially when dealing with multiple files or folders. Remember, consistent naming conventions across your files can save you a lot of time and frustration in the long run. So, mastering the art of renaming is a small step that significantly improves your overall organization and efficiency. Now, let's talk about copying files. This is a fundamental task in managing data and making sure information is where it needs to be. When you copy files, you're essentially creating duplicates, which can be useful for backup purposes or transferring data between different locations. It's important to understand the difference between copying and moving files. Copying leaves the original intact while creating a copy elsewhere. In most operating systems, copying files is straightforward. Right-click the file, select copy, then navigate to the destination. Right-click again and choose paste. But as we move forward in this presentation, keep in mind that efficient file management, including copying, is vital for maintaining organization and safeguarding data. Properly copying files ensures that your data remains accessible and secure, supporting the overall theme of effective digital management. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Moving files. Now, let's talk about how to move files effectively within your system. This process is crucial because it helps you organize your data and keep your workspace tidy. When you move files, you're essentially transferring them from one location to another, which can be done in various ways depending on your platform. For example, you might drag and drop files in a graphical interface, or use command line commands for more precision and automation. It's important to understand the key points here. First, always ensure you're moving the correct files to the right locations to avoid confusion later. Second, be aware of permissions. Make sure you have the necessary rights to move files in certain directories. And third, pay attention to whether you're copying or moving. Moving files deletes them from the original location, while copying creates duplicates. Connecting this to the overall theme, managing file movement efficiently is part of good data management practices, which support your productivity and data integrity. So, mastering these techniques will help you maintain a well-organized digital environment, which is fundamental for smooth operations. Let's talk about deleting files. When you're managing your data, it's important to know how and when to delete files properly. Deleting files helps free up storage space and keeps your system organized. But it's not just about removing files. It's about doing it safely to avoid losing important information. Always double-check what you're deleting to make sure it's no longer needed. Remember, some files, once deleted, can be difficult or even impossible to recover. So, understanding the right procedures for deleting files is key to maintaining a healthy and efficient system. This ties into our overall theme of effective data management and security. Let's talk about restoring files. When it comes to data loss or accidental deletion, restoring files is a crucial part of maintaining your system's integrity. The key points here are understanding how to recover those files efficiently and knowing the tools available for the job. Restoring files isn't just about retrieving data. It's about minimizing downtime and ensuring business continuity. It's important to remember that the most effective restoration process depends on having proper backups in place beforehand. Regular backups are the foundation that makes restoring files straightforward and reliable. When a file needs restoring, you typically start by identifying the most recent backup that contains the data you need. Then, using your backup software, you can restore the file to its original location or a new one if needed. Connecting this to our overall theme, restoring files exemplifies the importance of proactive data management. It highlights why having a solid backup strategy is essential for resilience against data loss. So, always ensure your backup and restore procedures are tested regularly, and you're familiar with how to execute them quickly when necessary. Now, let's talk about restoring files. When it comes to data recovery, restoring files is a crucial step to ensure that we get back what we've lost or accidentally deleted. The key points here are understanding the different methods available for restoring files, such as using backup copies or recovery tools. It's important to recognize which method fits best depending on the situation, whether it's a recent deletion, a corrupted file, or a system failure. Restoring files not only helps in recovering valuable data, but also plays a role in maintaining business continuity and minimizing downtime. Remember, the overall goal is to have reliable backup strategies in place so that restoring files becomes a smooth process when needed. This ties into the larger theme of data integrity and security, making sure we're prepared to recover quickly and efficiently when the unexpected happens. Let's talk about file compression and decompression. These are crucial processes that help us manage large data files more efficiently. When we compress a file, we're essentially reducing its size, making it easier to store or transmit. This is especially important when dealing with limited storage space or slow network connections. Conversely, decompression is the process of restoring the compressed file back to its original form, ensuring that we can access and use the data as intended. The key here is that effective compression algorithms can significantly save time and resources, which ties into our broader theme of optimizing data management. Understanding these processes is fundamental to improving how we handle digital information in various applications. So, what's the solution to protecting your critical data files on your computer? Well, a common approach is to periodically copy those important files and folders onto a USB stick or an external drive. That way, if your computer crashes or fails, you can reconnect that drive to a new machine and access your data. But here's the catch. Manually copying hundreds of files into external storage can quickly become a tedious and error-prone process. It's easy to forget files or miss some important data, especially as your files grow in number and complexity. That's where cloud storage comes in, which we'll cover in the next section. It offers a potentially much more efficient and reliable alternative for protecting your critical data, automating backups, and making sure your files are safe and accessible from anywhere. Cloud-based file management is all about storing your data with a service provider outside of your physical location. The key thing is that even though your files are stored off-site, you can still work with them just like they're on your local computer. It's really about making data accessible from anywhere, anytime. This approach offers several advantages, including enhanced file safety, since your data isn't tied to a single device, and improved security, as providers often have robust protections in place. Plus, it's incredibly convenient, especially for people who need to collaborate or access files on the go. Recent solutions like Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, and OneDrive have made this process even easier. They're not just technically advanced, but also cost-effective, making cloud-based file management accessible for a wide range of users and organizations. Overall, this technology aligns perfectly with the theme of our presentation, showing how digital solutions continue to streamline and secure our workflows, making us more productive and flexible in today's fast-paced world. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. You are likely to run into many situations where you'd want to know how your computer is performing. which applications are consuming too much power, memory, CPU, processing, or network bandwidth. On Windows, the utility for this is called Task Manager, and on Mac it's known as Activity Monitor. To open the Task Manager on Windows, you can simply press the Windows key and type Task Manager. Alternatively, there's a quick keyboard shortcut you can use, Ctrl+Shift+S. These tools are essential for monitoring your system's performance and identifying any apps or processes that might be slowing things down or using too many resources. Understanding how to access and interpret these utilities helps you keep your computer running smoothly and troubleshoot issues effectively. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Thank you all for your attention today. If you have any questions or would like to discuss further, please feel free to reach out to me. You can contact me via my email at contact@Madany.com, Dr. Yasser, Madany@yahoo.com, or Madany@IEE.org. Also, I invite you to visit my website at https://Madany.com for additional resources and information. Once again, I truly appreciate your time and interest. Thank you.